Hello and welcome to the first inaugural episode of Back to the Franchise.
You've got to come back with me.
Where?
Back to the franchise.
Hello, my name is Timothy Glenn, and I am joined by...
I'm Tanner Wilcox.
That is Tanner. Just a little intro to the podcast. Tanner and I are longtime best friends. Tanner, we've been talking about doing this for a really long time, haven't we?
Long time, like years and years.
And we just figured, let's just do it. Let's just go for it.
Yeah, who doesn't want to listen to two people beat a dead horse over and over and over? So
yeah, and there's not enough podcasts out there about two white guys talking about movies. So like I feel like we're doing, the world a favor. So you're welcome, Planet Earth.
yeah, you just have more options to filter through now.
Yeah. We went through a few different podcast topics or structure ideas before settling on this one. So to introduce Back to the Franchise as a concept, every time a new big studio franchise release is coming out, we will be breaking down each episode in that franchise or each installment, as it were, in that franchise per episode in the weeks leading up to the release. So for example, the first movie that we're starting with is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which comes out on May 22nd, I think it is. Yes, May 22nd. So we are going to be going back 12 episodes, I think, for each of the first installments in the Star Wars franchise. And then at the end of it, we will do an episode on the new Mandalorian and Grogu movie. And then after that, we move on to the next franchise that's coming out. So it'll be kind of a little bit of a series, a serial, if you will. Tanner, are you excited for Mandalorian movie?
Tim, I don't want to get off on the wrong foot with listeners. I'm not a Mandalorian stan anymore, if you will.
But
yeah, you know what? No. Yeah. We'll touch on that later.
Okay, we'll touch on that. We'll also touch on our entire history. Star Wars is almost, if you can believe it, almost 50 years old as we record this in 2026, which is crazy to think about. And there's plenty of Star Wars to get into. So let's just dive into the first one. So our first episode for this movie, our first movie for this episode is going to be Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, or as it was known in 1977, just Star Wars. Simpler, cleaner. Written and directed by George Lucas. Just so you guys know, we will be doing a spoiler alert for this entire episode. We're going to be picking and choosing, plot specific moments throughout. Whether we're talking about, behind the scenes stuff or whatnot, we will not be worrying about spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, and I can't believe you have not, just be warned.
My cap on a spoiler alert's about a year anyway, so you're like 47 years too late if you haven't.
49 to be exact. But yes, they are. I was actually talking to a coworker recently who said that she had seen one Star Wars movie and she wasn't even sure which one it was. And so if you're listening to this, why? I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, if this is the avenue you found and you don't know the outcome of A New Hope, I don't know why you're here, but welcome.
Yeah. And hey, if you haven't seen these movies that we're covering, please, we would love for you to watch them along with us. We are watching them every single week. So please watch along and listen along with us. This can be a fun journey. All right. Well, before we get into the movie itself, let's just talk about our personal histories with the movie. First time watching it, first time since the first time, whatever, rewatching it. What's it like? Has your opinion changed? So Tanner, let's start with you. What's your history with this movie?
So I was a little late to the party on the original trilogy, actually. It wasn't until after Phantom Menace came out that I actually watched A New Hope and Empire and Return of the Jedi. And it was only because a boy in my Cub Scout troop had a Millennium Falcon toy. And I think it was like the OG, 1980. Like
you wanted to be cool like him.
Oh yeah, but his whole room was decked. It was to the nines with Star Wars merch. And I had no idea what half of it was. So I went home from a Cub Scout meeting and I was trying to explain the Millennium Falcon to my father. And he's like, oh, it's from Star Wars. And I was like, no, it's not. the ship in that movie is. And all I could think about was a Naboo starfighter. And I was like, no, it's
Uh-huh.
yellow. And he goes, no, that's from the old Star Wars. And I was like shocked and betrayed that no one had told me there was another set of Star Wars films. Back in, 2001 when that happened, the only way we could watch it is if someone had the VHS, and my parents didn't. So it took me a while before I could get my hands on that bad dog.
So the first one you saw was Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains a lot. Um,
Yep.
and we'll get into Phantom Menace when we get there, because I think we're gonna have some words about that one. But
Oh yeah.
okay, so the OG for you is not the OG.
No, I'm a prequel boy through and through.
I mean, we're like the same age almost. Like, so I also grew up with the prequels a lot, but I think the first time I saw it was uh in 1997 when they released the special editions with all the Lucas, I gotta change all this. The movie's not complete yet. I gotta add some CGI. So I grew up with those versions. I think I watched those before I watched the Phantom Menace. I can't be sure. I was definitely on the bubble for being not quite young enough anyway for Star Wars. But yeah, for me, these are the originals. These OGs, at least in my head. But we're kind of the same in that regard.
Yeah, noted.
Um, Okay, so rewatching this one for the podcast, for watching New Hope again, what was it like? Was it like you remembered or whatnot, or was it any different?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot I think you can say negatively about this film or these three films. Rewatching them like as an adult and paying attention and critiquing, I think my biggest critique of them is when they remastered them and added, the CGI bits and tried to retouch them because I don't think it really holds up great. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Did you watch
sometimes,
that version?
yeah, because I have the Blu-rays of like the original
Mm-hmm.
trilogy. So it's only the remastered editions. When I was a kid, I had a
Mm-hmm.
VHS copy of Empire, and that was great because it was just the original. But it's a
This
little
original.
jarring. It kind of I feel like it throws you out of the moment when you're, watching the original cut of A New Hope, and then they pull into Mos Eisley Spaceport, and you get 6 CGI aliens that look like they're from
Yep.
1998, and you're just like, "Oh my god, what?" It's assaulting to your eyes.
It's it's definitely jarring, and we're gonna get into the whole special edition, all the edition sagas later in this episode when we get into the post-release and legacy stuff and all that jazz. So we'll have plenty of time to talk about why that doesn't work. But okay, for now, yeah, I mean, this movie is pure magic for me. We'll get into our review as well later, but it was great watching this again. I also watched it again with the special edition. I have the DVD as well, not Blu-ray, so it wasn't like a super high def version, but I did, it was a great time rewatching. It's probably been a while since I've watched this one all the way through.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, now let's get into the production history of the movie. Let's dig up the bones and let's do an autopsy. So obviously this all started with a little man named George Lucas. If you don't know George Lucas, he talks like this, and he wears a lot of plaid t-shirts tucked into his pants and glasses.
He looks like an 8th grade shop teacher.
Kinda. Yeah, he does. He looks like
At
a
least
carpenter.
my 8th grade he looks like my 8th grade shop teacher.
I saw there was this Mad magazine I saw when I was a kid, and it was like lampooning Star Wars and all that stuff, and there was one comic where it had George Lucas opening up his wardrobe. And he's like, what to wear, and it's just the same plaid shirt over and over and over again. He knows his style. But yeah, so anyway, George Lucas comes up with the idea of Star Wars. He had previously done a couple movies, THX 1138, which came out in 1971, and American Graffiti, which came out in 73. Have you seen either of those, Tanner?
No, my only experience with THX is as the audio soundbar of early 2000s and late 90s films that used to terrify me as a
Yep.
child because it was too loud.
I was
So
hoping you'd
if
bring
it's
that
in
up.
relation to that, then I'm very familiar.
I didn't even realize that was associated with that for a long time, because
Is it?
THX 11. Yeah, it was founded by Lucas, and that's why it's
Oh,
called that, is because
stop.
yeah, and that's why on these DVDs, like, it shows that. I haven't seen that in a long time. That, like, the don't,
we should
things.
introduce. I'm sure every single person that's listening knows what we're talking about, but if not, we should introduce a sound clip for THX because it's just it's a trauma dump.
There it is. You just listen to it. What do you think?
Triggering.
So yeah, but the THX was a very low budget movie. It was sci-fi, but it was like it's not even widely seen even today. I feel like, but American Graffiti was his big one. At least it was very very successful. It wasn't like a big budget movie, but it was hugely successful at the time. And you haven't seen that one?
No, that's the Richard Dreyfuss one, right?
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah, it's kind of like a Dazed and Confused of its time, like a pre Dazed and Confused.
It's like the
it's
premise of it is
nostalgic.
like the final night of high school or something about their graduation night, right?
Yeah, pretty much, which is very similar to Dazed and Confused. It takes
Okay.
place in '62, I think, in California, which was only 11 years before that movie came out, but it was still really nostalgic about it. So anyway, like any filmmaker who has a really big idea but not the clout or the backing to make it, he's got to make a smaller movie. So American Graffiti was that for him. He was very inspired by these film serials that he used to grow up watching. Flash Gordon, for instance. Was a common one at the movie theaters. I haven't seen anything Flash Gordon, so I'm not really that familiar, but I know it's very, very campy.
Yeah, my experience with Flash Gordon goes only as far as his reference in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, I was gonna say when the actor shows up in Ted and they do a bunch of drugs.
Oh God.
That's all I know.
Yeah, nope. I have not seen either of those.
But yeah, Flash Gordon was a really big in terms of like capturing that kind of like old school adventure serial vibe, was a really big influence on George Lucas. He wanted to do Flash Gordon itself, but he didn't have the rights, so Star Wars kind of came out of that. But don't think that Star Wars stopped and started stealing, inspiration from just that, because it's also very heavily influenced by samurai movies. Like it's very much inspired by like old timey knight tales. I mean, it's basically a Knight's Tale in space. That's all it is.
I think one of the like qualities that holds, especially like New Hope up, is that it follows the formula of like a very basic kind of like fairy tale film, and I think that works. I mean, it doesn't try too hard to be like more than that, and I think it's just a formula that works for people, and I think it just kind of cements it in like classic status.
Yeah, it's exciting and simple, and its simplicity, and in that regard, he nailed it pretty much. The other big influence that he had on him was Dune, which at that point hadn't had any bad David Lynch movie yet. It was only the books, but obviously a lot of similarities there in terms of what is shown on screen.
Yeah.
Sand, farm boy, spice is a big thing in both of them. Hyper travel, whatever. I think I was actually reading something where they were talking about like, should we sue Star Wars, like Frank Herbert, the writer of Dune, and his people, and they were running down like lists of things that are the same, and it was a long list.
Yeah, which is just, it's kind of shocking now too, because you look at like the David Lynch Dune and then especially the newer films, and there's I think they've done a good job at like keeping those properties separate, because like if I watch Dune now, I don't think like, oh, this is a Star Wars movie, but that is interesting.
Well, Dune probably just doesn't get made if Star Wars doesn't exist, like the original ones.
Yeah, I don't think I think a lot of post 70s sci-fi only exists because of the success of Star Wars. But
yeah, sci-fi was not a popular genre at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it, they went through like the 50s, where the 50s were all about like nuclear, testing and stuff like that, and you got all these like monster movies. They're very kitschy, like the giant tarantula movie or them, the giant ant movie. They're fun. They did well, but it gave the genre a reputation of being kind of trashy.
Yeah.
Aside from like, I guess 2001, Stanley Kubrick, A Space Odyssey, I can't really think of anything from like the 60s or early 70s that was like high profile sci-fi.
Yeah, or even like a sci-fi property that was like well respected, I guess.
Yeah. Even Star Trek like came before like at the TV show, and you know it lasted 3 seasons and it was well regarded, but it didn't get the foothold it needed to, you know, really blow up until after Star Wars came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, Star Wars hard pitch for Lucas early on. He was turned down by United Artists, by Universal, Disney, ironically, who now owns them.
Oh.
Although I guess Disney back then, Disney back then would have made it like what it would have been like Pete's Dragon, that was their output at the time for
Well,
live
yeah, and
action.
Disney, you're in the dark ages of Disney where that studio's teetering on bankruptcy anyway. So I think for them to take a
Mhm.
gamble, they're not really going to, but look at them now.
Yeah. Who's laughing now? So yeah, he couldn't get a lot of studio backing. He got 20th Century Fox, but not to, you know, it wasn't a landmark deal. It wasn't actually until American Graffiti came out that Lucas was able to go back and get a better deal, because American Graffiti comes out in 73. It makes $140 million, which today would be over $1 billion. And which is crazy for like a movie like that size and like that genre, like a comedy, today doesn't make that money. Like,
No.
doesn't do that. And it was the third highest grossing movie domestically of 73, I think, behind The Exorcist and The Sting. So it's in really high regarded company. The Sting won Best Picture, of course. This one, American Graffiti, gets 5 Oscar nominations. Lucas picks up 2 for writing and directing. So it was a hugely successful movie. So him being able to come back to the studio after that was really instrumental. He ended up getting the merchandising rights and sequel rights. Which what's the part where Julia Roberts comes back into the store in Pretty Woman, and she's like, "You wouldn't sit on me yesterday. Big mistake, huge."
You work on commission, right?
Yeah, you can replace Julia Roberts in that scene with George Lucas, and then the girl at the counter is Fox, because they gave away so much money not knowing how big this franchise would be, and the toy line and the sequels and stuff like that. Yeah, it basically made George Lucas a billionaire overnight in the future just by doing that. So yeah, they could have had it all, but they decided to give it to George. So anyway, George Lucas gets this money. He starts writing. I don't know if you've read up on these initial drafts, but they're weird, man. They,
Oh,
they are not Star Wars as we know it.
not one of them is a movie I would watch. I'm just gonna say that
No,
now.
I mean, it's easy to say. I mean, if these movies didn't exist and like I told you what it was about, would you watch it?
I don't know. And I'd be one of those conversations where I'd be like, yeah, I'll totally look into that, and then never ever log it again in my life.
Yeah, it definitely sounds weird, and it sounds even weirder back then. Like originally, the main character's name was Anakin Starkiller. Obviously, Anakin got kept on later. Starkiller is a little bit on the nose, I think.
Yeah, that's a little too. That seems a little Flash Gordon-y for me.
Also sounds very villainous. It sounds like a villain character.
It does, yeah.
Han Solo was originally not a human. He was originally going to be a green gill monster, probably something like Greedo that we see in the movie. Definitely less sexy.
Yeah, oh my god. And think of the generations of women that wouldn't have anything to wear in the fall without Harrison Ford's contributions to that character.
What was their what would they wear in the fall? The vest?
Vests and boots. It's vest and boot season. It's Han Solo season, ladies. Break out the vests, break out the leather boots.
I did not find that in my research. Apparently, I should have let you lead this this category or this topic.
Let me tell you, the only research you're going to find on that topic is Instagram between 2011 and 2015.
Oh, was that in the lead up for Han Solo coming back? They were like, "Oh, dust off those boots, ladies."
I assume so. Yeah, that was the highest. That was the highest fan costume worn to Force Awakens. Vests and boots. Vests and boots.
Vested Boots was also the working title of the movie when they were filming. I'm kidding, that's not true. So yeah, weird first few drafts. Even the titles were weird. Like the first title in the second draft was called Adventures of the Star Killer, Episode 1, The Star Wars, which even like Zack Snyder making like those Rebel Moon like giant titles is like, that's too long.
No, if that came across my TV screen, I'd be like, I'm not gonna watch this medical dissertation. This title's too long.
No. And he went through a few of those. I also have here the Star Wars from the Adventures of Luke Starkiller. I've got the Adventures of Luke Starkiller as taken from the Journal of the Wills, Saga 1, the Star Wars. That was all in quotes. That wasn't me. I was reading that verbatim. Yeah. And I guess eventually they convinced him to get Justin Timberlake came in and was like, George, just drop just Star Wars. It's cleaner.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely needed someone to tell him no in that regard. The opening crawl was way longer. We love the opening crawl now, but we take for granted how short it actually is because the original was 24 sentences long, and now it's only 4. Like you think you see that thing in your head, you think it's probably longer than 4, but no, it's only 4 sentences long.
The final product is only 4 sentences?
Yeah, so apparently he was friends with Brian De Palma of Carrie and Scarface fame, and De Palma edited the crawl for him, thank God. But yeah, just imagine that crawl could have been like 5 minutes long.
God, could you imagine? And you know, I find that that's like, like you said, we love the crawl, we love how iconic it is now. And it does a good job at kind of just throwing you into the story without having to do a lot of build up or like scene setting, because it just kind of tells you, hey, this is what's happening. This is where we're at in the middle of this galactic struggle. And I think, you know, like older films from the 30s and 40s would do that all the time, where they would have your long opening credits and then also give you this big winded, like set the stage, almost like it's a play of like, these are your characters. This is what's happening. This is how this person's related to this person, which is just too much. But 24 sentences, my God. You would have been sitting there watching it scroll for 8 minutes.
Like it's a whole playbill, pretty much. Yeah, it's too much.
I'd be like, well, that's the whole movie. I could just read it.
But I do love that, you know, like when you see that crawl, like you know you're watching a Star Wars movie. Like it is like a must have. So I do love it now. But okay, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into casting. This was the most interesting thing for me to read up on, is these like almost words in terms of who could have been playing these roles. George Lucas went into the casting process wanting unknown actors, which was probably a good idea for this kind of a heady concept kind of movie. Except for Obi-Wan, he wanted Obi-Wan Kenobi to be his like recognizable veteran actor, so he got that obviously in Alec Guinness. But for the main cast, pretty much nobody else was well known at the time.
No, and didn't that backfire a little bit with the Obi-Wan actor? Because didn't he kind of resent that?
Yeah, Alec Guinness, obviously a trained theatrical actor, Shakespearean probably, did not end up liking a lot of the dialogue. I wish he's not the first one to say that about George Lucas's writing. He won't be the last. Yeah, he never really understood why, of all the stuff he does, like this is his most remembered thing. He's like, really? Star Wars? I was in Bridge of the River Kwai. He even got nominated for this movie. He even got an Oscar nom, which is crazy to think about.
Well, and even as a viewer standpoint, I think that's crazy to think about, because really, in A New Hope, Obi-Wan is personally not my favorite character. He's only in half the movie anyway, and he doesn't do a whole lot.
No, he's just sage old man, pretty much.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Obi-Wan, though. Originally, Peter Cushing, who is in the movie as Grand Moff Tarkin, was considered for Obi-Wan, but then they wanted to cast him as a villain, which is actually kind of interesting because he was, I don't know, have you seen like all of the old like Hammer monster movies? Like he was in like the Dracula movies as like Van Helsing for a long time.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he did a lot of genre movies before this, but he was mostly the protagonist, and so they ended up, you know, pivoting there. In Alec Guinness's contract as Obi-Wan, he got 2.25% of the gross, which, hot damn, good for you. Like, honestly probably shouldn't be complaining at that point. Like you're making 2.25 of $100 million or whatever, like so much money.
Yeah, that's insane. What good contract negotiator.
He begged to be killed off in the movie. He originally wasn't too. He was originally not killed off, and then he convinced George Lucas to kill him at the Death Star in his fight with Vader. And Lucas was like, you're kind of right. I don't really have anything else for you to do as a character after this point. So yeah, sure, you're dead.
Well, and in just one of the most bizarre fight scenes, I think, in film history for me is the Vader Obi-Wan. And I'm not gonna give him. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna bust her balls about it for special effects or choreography or
Mm.
anything with like later lightsaber duels. But I just rewatching it, I just laugh because Vader, does one swing and he just poof, his cloak drops. And then for it to cut back to Darth Vader, like poking at his cloak with his foot, like he doesn't know what's happened. He's like, "Oh, where'd you go? What's under here?" And I'm just like, "What?"
It is definitely jarring. Like if you watch Rogue One, like say you watch them like in chronological order, you watch Rogue One, the ending of that one, and he's like, you know, he's like a ninja, and
Oh
then you
yeah.
cut to the beginning of this movie, and he's like, It is definitely very jarring. But what are you
Yes,
gonna do? Times.
it's a very lumbering, clunky fight.
Yeah, it was the times. We'll get into all this stuff in the reviews, but let's
Yes.
for casting. He got obviously Mark Hamill, which kickstarted his career. Speaking of surprising villain actors playing heroes, because Mark Hamill would be known as the Joker for the rest of his career, like the most evil character in all of fiction, pretty much.
Oh, and the
um,
best Batman animated series Joker?
I haven't seen it, but I
What?
I know what his voice sounds. I know I've seen the movie. I've seen Mask of the Phantasm, but I haven't seen the show.
Oh, him. That's my childhood.
Okay, well, this isn't a bad Batman podcast yet. We still got about a year and a half to go for that one. So yeah, Mark Hamill. He was actually friends with, speaking of villain actors, Robert Englund, aka Freddy Krueger. At the time, Robert Englund got an audition for Luke Skywalker, did it, and then didn't get it, obviously, but he thought of Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill apparently already had the audition booked through his agent, but it's just funny that kind of went that way. Can you imagine Freddy Krueger as as Luke Skywalker?
No, honestly, it's hard for me to picture Robert Englund in anything besides Freddy Krueger makeup. So I don't even know what he would look like in
Mhm.
1977.
You don't even know what he looks like in general.
Yeah, I hardly know what he looks like now.
Yeah. Kurt Russell was also a name thrown around. He was a Disney kid at the time, so he kind of grew up in the industry. Kurt Russell was also up for Han Solo, which
Uh,
I which that fits better than Luke Skywalker for me personally.
yeah, I could see that too. But then I also think like, can you imagine a Kurt Russell and Harrison Ford? They would just it'd be the same character. They would just
Yes. Yeah, no, Mark Hamill was the right choice because he has that like farm boy persona down easily. You need to see that transition from like a whiny teen into a action hero.
yeah, definitely.
Whereas Kurt Russell's already that, you know.
Yeah, he's not. I couldn't picture him as like a whiny kid.
The list of Han Solo actors that auditioned are really interesting. There's a lot of them. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit because at first George Lucas wrote Han Solo to be a black character, so he was auditioning a lot of black actors, including Billy D. Williams, who would obviously play Lando Calrissian in the next one. Uh, you know, it's kind of the same character in a lot of ways, but interesting to note. Other names auditioning for Han Solo were James Caan, Chevy Chase, weird, Robert De
Oh
Niro,
God.
Richard Dreyfuss, Spielberg friend, Robert Englund again, Steve Martin, weird, Bill Murray, Jack Nicholson, Nick Nolte, Burt Reynolds, Kurt Russell, Stallone, Travolta, and Christopher Walken. Are there any of those that sound? What of those sounds like the weirdest choice, and what sounds like the best choice? Like if you could alternate.
Oh, the ones that I can't picture at all are I couldn't see like a Chevy Chase or honestly, like a Pacino or a Stallone. They're too. I think they're already just too niche of actors. So for them to give
Mhm.
them like a Han Solo character, I just feel like it would have been comical from the get go. Christopher Walken, my God, could you imagine?
Hey, I got this Millennium Falcon over here. I'm really bad at that. Not good at a Christopher Walken impression. Hey, it's the Millennium Falcon over here. Yeah.
It's interesting how casting works because you have all these big names and they're all great actors in regards to themselves, but you look at like iconic film roles for people and you just say, oh, I can't picture anybody else playing that character. When in reality, if any of them had gotten it, I'm sure it would have been fine, but it's just hard as a viewer to like see that.
Can you imagine Steve Martin as Han Solo, like playing the banjo? Like it's just like I mean, I love Steve Martin, but
No, because it would have
he's
just
not
been Han
really
Solo in the
imposing.
cantina. He would have been in the cantina playing the banjo and not brooding in the corner. And it was
Yeah. A little bit of a goofy
oh,
Han Solo. Yeah, kind of weird.
yeah.
Pacino actually rejected the role because he did not understand it at all. So I guess they offered it to Pacino. I can't imagine Al Pacino. I'm Han Solo. Hooah! Also kind of weird.
Yeah, no.
So Harrison Ford was originally not considered because, again, at the time he had done American Graffiti, which George Lucas directed, and he thought he'd be too recognizable because he was in that movie
Mm.
to do Han Solo. But he was a friend, so he had Harrison Ford come in with auditions to help read with these actors, and then through that, Lucas was like, "Oh no, he's right." So he ended up winning the role by not taking it in the first place.
Hmm.
And then on the Princess Leia side, Carrie Fisher obviously got cast. Carrie Fisher, an unknown at the time. I think she did one movie before this, but obviously Nepo baby because her mom was Debbie Reynolds. She beat out the likes of Karen Allen, who would later do Indiana Jones, so still George Lucas connection there. Jodie Foster was originally offered the role, but she was under contract with Disney.
Well, and Jodie Foster she would have been like young, right?
Yeah, because Taxi Driver, I think, is 76, so it's just a year before this.
Yeah, she would have been like 13.
I mean, Carrie Fisher was young too. Like, I don't even know if she was 20 yet, but still, I think Jodie Foster would have been even younger. I don't know that when they were born, but
Well, Jodie Foster was born in 62. So yeah.
do you just know that off the top of your head?
Well, no. Maybe.
Okay, I'm looking it up. Carrie Fisher, 56, so she would have been like 20 when they filmed it. Jodie Foster, born in, you asshole, it is 62.
I know things, Tim.
So yeah, she would have been like 14. Is that right? 62, 76, 14 years old.
Yeah, 14 or like 14 at filming.
I'm hoping that was before Princess Leia was 11. Tris. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. It might have worked, but I'm hoping the script was a little different.
I am also hoping that's before she was a love interest for Han Solo.
Yeah.
We're gonna give 14-year-old Jodie Foster to Al Pacino.
Well, is it any worse than what she goes through in Taxi Driver?
Well, yeah, okay. Jodie picked her roles. She's got Taxi Driver. She's got The Accused.
I think she would have been good. I'm imagining her as older, obviously, but I think she would have been good. But again, I think they nailed the casting in general. Next, we have Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, another guy who kind of didn't really love working on Star Wars, even though he did it for like he's still alive, so he's been doing it for like 40 years over.
Did Anthony Daniels come back for the prequels, or was that a different?
No, he's on all of them.
Really?
I don't know if he did the suit work for the later ones. Probably not.
Oh, okay.
But he's voiced the character this whole time.
Okay.
He was initially hired just to be in the suit. So at first he wasn't even going to have a voice, or it wasn't going to be his voice. And they actually auditioned a couple voice actors. They were Dreyfus again, which I don't know, and then Mel Blanc, the voice of Bugs Bunny, was
Oh
auditioning.
God.
What's up, Darth?
No, ugh, no.
Yeah. So, but I guess eventually, through Anthony Daniels talking it out on set, George Lucas liked his voice cadences for that, so they ended up going with him. And then, of course, we have Anthony Daniels' arch enemy Kenny Baker as R2D2. Are you familiar with their beef?
Not from the only thing I know about Kenny Baker was that they like left him in the R2D2 suit one time for like an undisclosed amount of
Yes.
hours.
Yeah, they forgot he was in there.
Yep, yep. Well, but that's where my knowledge of Kenny Baker dies.
Yes, Kenny Baker no longer with us, sadly. Oh, you meant dies as in okay, never mind.
Oh no, no, I just meant my knowledge of him as an actor, but also R.I.P. Kenny Baker.
Yes,
Sorry.
R.I.P. Kenny Baker. It not too, it hasn't been too recent, so don't worry. We've had plenty of time to mourn. Anyway, yeah. So Anthony Daniels and Kenny Baker did not really get along very well, much like their characters C-3PO and R2D2, very much friends at odds. Daniels was kind of more of like a craftsman, a professional, and Kenny Baker was kind of a jester on set,
Mm.
so them working together, they didn't really jive comedically or whatnot.
Which is interesting because I feel like, the C3PO and R2D2 in Star Wars is definitely like the comic relief of that franchise.
Yeah, there was a reason why they're the two characters who are in every of these mainline episodes.
Yeah.
I think they're the
Huh.
only ones. I know they're in all of them. So yeah, but it was definitely rough goings at the start for them. Then you got Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca, probably somebody else that nobody knows by face. Just the fact that he was super duper tall. R.I.P. as well. He was 7'3". Yeah, George Lucas was looking for a bunch of basketball players. I don't think Mayhew was, but he fit the bill. At first, the executives were worried about Chewbacca being, speaking of Chewbacca, of him being naked, even though he's hairy. So they were going to have him wear
Really?
shorts at first. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. Yeah, they're like, put some shorts on that man.
Like they wanted the character to wear shorts even though he already had fur?
Yes, they were like that. Why is that character not wearing clothes? Other aliens wear clothes in this movie. Put some shorts on him, but thankfully they didn't do that.
Oh, thank God.
That suit, though, I'm
Mm.
sure was hot anyway.
Yeah, let's just add some cargo shorts to it.
One other interesting thing of note about Chewbacca's conception is that he was modeled after George Lucas's dog, whose name was Indiana.
Oh,
Coincidence?
weird.
Weird, yeah.
Do we know what breed of dog that was?
Oh God, I don't. George Lucas, Indiana dog breed. Let's see what Google helps me out with on this one. It was an Alaskan Malamute.
An Alaskan bullworm.
No, that's a SpongeBob reference in case you're listening is not a millennial like us.
Yeah, sorry. I
No, no,
my
no.
brain, my brain fires in only like
Your brain
millennial
heard
references.
Alaska and you went to that.
Well, it's either going to be Alaskan bullworm or it's going to be Sandra Bullock in The Proposal going Alaska.
Oh, so you have a few sound bites prepared for that word. I like that you're like a brainwashed secret agent, who hears like these code words and it gets activated.
Yeah, my brain is 86% sound bites from pop culture. So you'll get a lot of those
Perfect.
from me.
Yeah, we're gonna say a lot of a lot of references to other things on this podcast, so don't get used to it, people. Anyway, so last but not least, Darth Vader was played by James Earl Jones and David Prowse, who most people don't know who that is when I say this name out loud, but he was the guy in the suit the whole time in all three movies, I think.
Is David Prowse also the guy in the suit when the helmet comes off and you actually see Darth Vader,
Oh,
or was that another actor?
I haven't actually started my prep for for the third one for Return of the Jedi yet, so I don't actually know. I think it
Oh,
is.
I don't know. Well, we can cut that.
No, 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 no. I like this. It makes it sound a little bit more let's see. Da, da, da. I I think it is. I think it's him. I mean, obviously he was on set anyway, so
Well, at least he would get some good like facial recognition because, you hear James Earl Jones for 3 movies and you get the reveal and you're like, that ain't James Earl Jones. I don't know how well known James Earl Jones was like when Star Wars was made. Again, I only know that because as an elder millennial, we of course heard him in Lion King and then The Sandlot growing up. So I'm like, I know who that is.
was hoping you said The Sandlot. That's almost the first thing I think of.
Oh, that's my number one James Earl Jones role is The Sandlot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So yeah, David Prowse originally was going to play Chewbacca, but he turned it down because he wanted to play the villain. Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca, was also up for, they wanted two tall guys basically, and they're like, you guys can pick who we want to play, and they switched because Prowse wanted to be a villain, and Mayhew wanted to be a hero. So Prowse ended up doing it for the first 3 movies. George Lucas didn't originally like David Prowse's accent, which is why they ended up dubbing him over with James Earl Jones after the fact.
Ah, I wonder if that was irksome to him. Because if you do the entire role and all the work, and at the end they're like, "Ooh, we actually need you to be more imposing and also black. So we're gonna hire James Earl Jones because he's got a much better voice than you."
He definitely couldn't pull that off. Yeah, so I mean, he said all the lines, on set, but yeah, Lucas wasn't into it. And it's weird to think about, like, because if you think about it now that we have the prequels, you have Jake Lloyd Anakin, who is an American. You have Hayden Christensen voice is American. You have James Earl Jones voice, Black American. And then you have, when the helmet comes off, he's British all of a sudden.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yes. Well, I wonder if it was like if he knew that he was getting dubbed over, or if it was like they were at the premiere and he's just like, "What?" Like the first line comes up and it's just, if it was a Phoebe Buffay Smelly Cat music video scenario, and he was just like, "This is what I sound like."
Is that me? Yeah, maybe like when the Emperor is like making the Vader suit, he's like, "All right, let's see, what accent? American, Chinese, British? No, do American, do American, do American." And then maybe it was all being filtered. Yeah, so that's the casting. Let's get into filming. So George Lucas founded Industrial Light and Magic just for this, basically because Fox's visual effects department was shut down. So he had to like basically make a new visual effects from the ground up. And of course, ILM still in business today. The filming was rocky for a lot of reasons. He had issues with his director for photography, Gilbert Taylor, because Lucas seemed like a little bit of a control freak. Weird. I don't know where you get that from.
I would have problems with somebody named Gilbert Taylor too. You could be the best DP in the business, but if I have to go talk to someone, go ask Gilbert. Go ask Gil what we should do.
I don't know if it went by Gil or Gilbert, but that's probably a big sticking point.
Is one better than the other, Tim? I don't think so. To all the Gilberts out there listening, I apologize.
Sorry, Gilberts. We hope you're Gil. But yeah, but Lucas being like an indie director, who did almost all of his own stuff on the first 2 movies he did, comes into a big movie production studio film. Obviously the DP's like, dude, this is my job, let me do it. Production began in March of 1976. It was filmed they started in Tunisia, in the desert sequences of Tatooine, Tunisia being northern Africa, Sahara Desert. They also filmed in Death Valley, but in Tunisia, things got off to a really bad start because they went through like a once in like a 50-year like monsoon or some shit. So weather not great up there.
Really?
Yeah.
Could you just imagine like being an indie filmmaker and being like, "Yes, I got my budget. I'm locked in. We're going to Tunisia. I need these desert shots." And then you just get a monsoon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I could never.
That would be... I mean, no one on this production thought it was going to be good. And I'm sure that started day one when apparently the weather gods were against them too.
Oh, look, it's raining.
Yeah, and one of the people who weren't having fun was Anthony Daniels. His C-3PO costume was real janky for him to wear. He got scarred and beat up. Very much, who played the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz? His whole deal.
Oh, Jack Haley, but originally it was, I'm doing him a disservice because I don't remember his name, but when he was allergic to all the aluminum dust.
Right.
But that was the 30s when they were like, "Ooh, sorry we gave you cancer. Next." Like, But
Yeah,
yeah.
thankfully Anthony Daniels didn't get cancer from this, but costume-wise, still kind of a drag to have to put up with. I think there are some shots in this movie where he's actually not even wearing his bottoms of the C-3PO costume. So
Really?
they just cut him from the top up. Yeah, and I was actually also reading that speaking of people wearing uncomfortable clothing, Peter Cushing hated the boots that Grand Moff Tarkin had to wear. So often when his feet weren't in the shot, he would take them off and just wear slippers.
Oh. Well,
And Carrie Fisher, who really ended up really liking Peter Cushing a lot, found it really hard to take him seriously in those moments where they're clashing, because this really nice man wearing slippers, just like a Nazi but wearing slippers.
and then interrogating you and threatening to blow up your home planet.
Yeah, I was when I was rewatching it, I could see her almost cracking in her big moment with him. You can tell the tension on that scene is that set is not very. It's very light,
Yeah, I don't think anybody believes they're going to be killed, but
Yeah. Fun fact, I don't know if you in your version when you watched this, my version had the Jabba the Hutt scene in this. Did you watch it with that?
yes, mine did too, and I was actually confused, and I hated Harrison Ford's last line of that scene is he goes, "Jabba, you're a wonderful human being." And I'm like, "Why? Why would they put this in here?" He
Perfect segue, Tanner. Thank you so much. Jabba the Hutt was originally human. They filmed that scene with an actual man, and he was playing Jabba.
an unknown man? Who was the man?
Oh God, Tanner, why'd you do this to me? I don't
I don't
know.
you
He
know.
didn't make the final cut. They cut this scene from the movie. Like the original movie did not have Jabba the Hutt in it at all. That's
No,
why they
yeah.
can eventually go back later and say, oh, okay, Jabba is now a slug monster. You can find the original shot, the original scene online.
Oh, like with the human?
Yeah. So they changed it in the special edition. They restored the scene. They CGI'd Jabba over the actor. They even put Boba Fett in the background, even though he hadn't appeared yet in anything.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
But they originally cut the scene in the movie because it didn't really add anything to Han's backstory and character arc. Like they had this scene with Greedo already. Or actually, no, sorry. Greedo was created afterwards. They ended up changing the scene to that instead of the Jabba scene. So instead we get the Greedo little fight. But with both of them, it didn't really work. It wasn't necessary, and I think that's right. Like you don't really get much more from Han's
No, I think
interaction
the
with
only
Jabba.
thing it adds, uh, if you're watching it for like the first time and you don't get like the nostalgia quip of like, "Ooh, there's Jabba the Hutt. Ooh, there's Boba Fett." I mean, it goes into like the smuggling thing a little more, but you already kind of know that he's a smuggler.
Yeah,
Yeah, after that scene, you kind of think like, "Well, this was a little unnecessary," but
yeah.
it was an interesting
But
take.
George can't help himself. He can't help himself by adding unnecessary CGI.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so to get into some fun filming stuff, I wanted to get into some improvised moments. The moment where Han is talking on the intercom with the stormtrooper on the Death Star, he intentionally did not learn his lines for that scene because he wanted it to feel, momentary and fluid.
Oh, okay.
Great choice. I think that scene worked really well for that.
Yes. Yeah.
The line where Luke says he can't see in the stormtrooper helmet, Mark Hamill said that when he thought they weren't filming. And then they just used that. Although it kind of makes sense though, because we see later on the shot of the stormtrooper hitting his head on the very famous gaff, bonking his head on
Oh, well,
the
yeah, and I mean,
ceiling.
I think it just adds to the fact that, stormtroopers for decades, everyone's been like, "Oh, stormtrooper can't aim, they can't hit anything," which is my God, the gunfights in that movie are just
Well, no,
jarring to watch the aim,
it's funny you
but
say that because I noticed something in this rewatching is when Luke and Obi-Wan find the Jawa ship has been like destroyed and attacked,
mhm, yeah.
before they find Uncle and Aunt Beru, Obi-Wan says, "No, these weren't raiders. Only stormtroopers are this accurate." And I like laughed out loud.
And I'm like, "Well, there's blast marks on all the rocks behind the ship, so how accurate were they? This thing's the size
Yeah,
of a
right.
city block." Also, I'm
Yeah.
gonna just jump into it really quick. I need to say something. Aunt Beru,
Yeah.
what is the costuming of
Oh yeah.
this film? Because she dresses in the exact same my grandmother has the shirt she's wearing in this film. She's just wearing, like, a denim shirt and a vest. And I'm like, okay, we're just,
You want to be more like spacey? Is that what you're saying?
yes, there's nothing. She looks like she grew up in 1981 Iowa, which I'm sure is probably the truth. But that's what it looks like to me. I'm like, oh, okay. My
Well,
grandma's shirt.
Tanner, Tatooine is Iowa in Star Wars. They're the same thing. They're the farmers.
Oh, that's true. All right. Well,
It
then
was
you know
actually
what?
originally going to be called Iowania. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, then you know what? Then I rescind it. So thanks for being super meta about it, George Lucas.
No
I
problem.
just wanted to
Always
point
glad
out
to
the
shut
fact
you
that
down.
I just wanted to point out the fact that my grandma has the same shirt that Aunt Beru does. But
Okay. So for as far as like let's spill some tea. Obviously, well, actually, I don't know if everybody knows this, but Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford had an affair during filming. Did you know that?
no, but didn't she also claim that she was macking on Mark Hamill all the time?
No, Hamill claimed that.
Oh,
Hamill claimed that they would make out, but they wouldn't do anything else. So yeah, Carrie Fisher, good for her getting around. That wasn't revealed publicly. I mean, it was kind of like a rumor that they were bumping uglies. But it wasn't confirmed until I think 2016 when Fisher published her autobiography that she said that she and Harrison Ford had a 3-month affair. And Ford was married at the time too. He was married to Mary Marquardt, is what I see here.
oh,
So yeah, apparently a lot of chemistry going on behind the scenes too.
apparently that gold bikini did it for more than one person.
Maybe that well yeah, maybe they that influenced that influenced why they ended up, because in the first movie you can almost see them being like, oh, should we have Leia end up with Luke, or oh, should we have her end up with Han, like they're both kind of jockeying in that way. Obviously no one knew at this point that they were siblings, Luke and Leia,
No, and
including George Lucas.
we still do get stuck with one incestuous kiss with them, but
They didn't know that, they didn't know back then either. Making up as they go along. Anyway, this was a very hard shoot for George Lucas. He was diagnosed with hypertension and exhaustion, stress, I guess. Mark Hamill's face was scarred in a car accident, so there's that too. So yeah, this was a hard shoot for a lot of people. But I feel like a lot of the best movies are ones that were like terrible to film.
yeah, and maybe I should save this for when we get into Empire. But the Mark Hamill facial scarring and reconstruction issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as a kid, I thought that they recast him in Empire because his face was
Really?
so drastically changed from that car accident. Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, like
Uh,
whatever. And I didn't think too much about it. But then, as an adult watching A New Hope, he goes from a very distinct, like pointy nosed boy to
mhm.
a Mark Hamill we know and love. And I'm just like, oh, they got rid of him. Okay,
They got another sandy haired fuck.
yeah. I was like, oh, another blonde boy in Hollywood, dime a dozen. Next.
Mm-hmm. Where's that Robert Englund? Bring him back. So yeah, this was a hard movie to film. It's even harder to do in post production. They cut probably the original cut of the movie had 30 to 40% different material, so it would have been an entirely different movie had they not changed a lot in the editing room.
Huh.
They cut the a lot of the Luke early scenes, like when he wants to go to Tasha Station to pick up some power converters. They cut the Tasha Station scene.
Oh, so they cut the Iowa scenes.
They cut the Iowa scenes, yeah. Like at the end of the movie where they're about to go to battle in the ships, and
Yeah.
he runs into his friend there, and you're like, who the hell is this? Well, he was in an earlier scene that got cut.
Oh. And they did a good job, because when he wants to like join the Star Academy or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
his
Yeah.
uncle's like, "No, you got to help me with the crops this year, and then you can go next year." And Aunt Beru's
Mm-hmm.
like, "But all of his friends have already left. You should let him go."
Mm-hmm.
I just always chalked it to like, oh, that's one of the friends.
Yeah, I mean, it works on its own. It is a little weird to suddenly see this guy and they're so tight. So I think it works though, because like you're setting up a lot in the first like 30 minutes. So losing something is probably necessary. And they ended up adding in replace of that C-3PO and R2-D2 scenes, detailing their escape from the ship and finding Luke and stuff, which I think also
Oh,
works.
yeah.
I was surprised. You actually Luke doesn't come into the movie for like 17 minutes or so. For a main character, that's a long time.
Well, I noticed this when I rewatched it. I don't think, besides when you hear Leia talk on her hologram recording that Luke finds, you don't hear
Mhm.
Carrie Fisher doesn't have a line in that movie until her first scene with Tarkin, if I'm correct.
She talks to Vader. No, she talks to Vader in the first scene.
Oh, okay. Well, my mistake.
We'll cut that.
I literally was like, oh my God, it's like 49 minutes of this movie. She hasn't even said anything.
No, Vader boards the ship in the beginning, and then he finds Leia, and she's like, I'm just a delegate, whatever. This isn't a rebel ship. And he's like,
Oh, yes.
bullshit.
Yeah.
He's like, my ass it is. Anyway.
Oh, all right, well.
The effects were almost all done for this movie post-production. The original ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, blew half of the budget at first before Lucas was like, no, this isn't working. We need to redo all of this. So before Disney was whipping its special effects department like hell, Lucas was too. The movie was originally screened February of 1977, so only 3 months before the movie came out, it was screened for producers and stuff. They did not have they had Prowse's voice, David Prowse's voice as Darth Vader in that screening. They had no special effects, no John Williams score, and pretty much everyone hated it.
Oh, God, I just can't. The disappointment you must face as a filmmaker to like pour your life into something and then set it in front of a room of like 6 men who really don't care except for the paycheck. They're gonna be
Yeah.
like, "Well, it's trash."
Yeah, well, we'll take a loss on this one. But this was also like an incomplete cut because a lot of the effects were not in the movie, especially the Battle of Yavin scene at the end, the dogfight scenes. And so what George Lucas did was in that cut, he just took shots of dogfights from World War II movies and just overlaid it. So all of a sudden you're watching like a biplane or whatever. And
Oh,
they were
just
really
overlaid it
confused.
with like an X-wing.
Yeah, and then he was like, just imagine this is space, whatever. We're gonna do this with space. So they were really confused, like, why are we all of a sudden watching like Nazi planes? Like literal
World
Nazi
War II
planes.
planes.
Yeah. But like if you watch like the movies in question were the Dam Busters and 633 Squadron. I haven't seen those, but I have seen clips from them, and they're very similar to what they ended up shooting for the Death Star trench run. It's pretty much, again, so many influences on this movie. Steven Spielberg, interestingly, who was George Lucas' friend from college, I think, did like it during this screening. He was the only one. And if you're going to have somebody in that room that likes it, that's probably the one you want.
Yeah, especially a post Jaws Spielberg.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because then he's got all the cred. He can just be like,
Yeah.
"No, I like it." You're gonna be like, "Oh, yeah."
Well, he recommended John Williams to George Lucas because John
Really?
Williams did Jaws. Yeah. And John Williams actually dictated a lot of what the score would end up sounding like. George Lucas, I think, wanted to use pre-existing music, which was weird because like you're watching a space opera in a different galaxy, and then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, it's like a Tarantino movie. Like,
Oh God, yeah. And especially like pre-existing music from the 70s. No, thank you.
no. I mean, I don't know what that means. Maybe that means songs, but it might also mean
Well,
like,
sure. Maybe he just wanted
like
classical
Beethoven.
music.
Yeah, but no, John Williams, thank God, because I was watching this movie and the score is like one of the best parts of it. Like that score is amazing.
Oh yeah, and watching a screening of a movie with no score is, I would assume, it'd be hard for me anyway. But then to not have like the iconic score that it does have, like
Mhm.
that's half the feeling of the film, I think.
It reminded me of this anecdote I've heard about Halloween where John Carpenter screened that for, like critics and producers early before there was the score, the dun, 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 dun. I can't, copyright. I won't do it, but the score from Halloween. And one of the critics was like, nah, it's not really that scary. And then the critic saw it again I don't know who it was, but they saw it again when it was released, the real thing. And he was like, I was so wrong. The movie's terrifying, with the actual score in there.
Oh, I agree. I think Halloween is probably, not to go too much
Yeah,
down
sure,
this rabbit
sure.
hole, but Halloween is probably my favorite horror film, and I don't think that movie would be scary at all without this. Like, I mean, think about Jamie Lee Curtis walking across the street to the house in the,
Hmm.
third act of that film without the music, and it'd be like, this is just
Hmm.
Jamie Lee Curtis walking on the block for 8 minutes. What are we doing?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
in my
It
opinion, I
elevates
think
it.
it's like one of the most terrifying like segments of that film.
Hmm.
Anyway, what we
Uh,
learned here, kids, music matters.
Music matters. Pay your. Oh my God! Someone tell Marvel that. Like, I feel like these days, like no one really shells out for good music anymore on these big
No,
blockbuster
and
movies.
or even just like people that score things like even romantic comedies used to have, there's the good ones have, like memorable scores or so, and it's like, who is
Mm.
scoring movies now? I don't know. Chat GPT.
And now every comedy movie you see, like when there's like a comedic scene, it's just like it's just little sounds over and over again. Like it's not a score; it's just a precision of like funny like. Anyway, so this movie went through a lot of revisions in the last few months. Probably all the best stuff were added to the movie at the very end. It was finished. The final cut was finished a week before it came out, which is crazy to think about. Although, what do I know? But the original budget of this movie was he was given $8 million to work with. That's $42 million in 2026 money. That ended up going up to 11 million, which today would be 58 million. So they're 16 million today. So they were very worried about this movie being a bomb, obviously, for monetary reasons. But it was not. But before we get into that, let's break down our spoiler review, which we've kind of already been doing. But let's just get into our, thoughts about the movie itself. Tanner, give me your first thoughts about the movie itself in terms of your enjoyment factor or just film quality.
I mean, like I said before, I don't think there's a lot you can say negative about this movie. My most negative thoughts on it are probably the later like CGI additions to it. And then yeah, just probably like the clunky mechanics of like the first on-screen lightsaber duel. It leaves you wanting a lot more, but again, that comes from someone who grew up with the later Star Wars films. But all in all, great, top notch. No
Yeah.
notes. It's got the good like fairy tale aspect of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think every time you go back to it, it's comforting, it's nostalgic, it's hopeful, it's fun, and I think it's
Mhm.
all in all 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I just wish we could have seen the original movie, the perfect movie that exists.
Oh, I don't know about that. Green Gilly Han Solo.
No, well, no, they didn't film it. I'm not saying like the
No,
original like version
I
in his
know.
head.
I'm saying that sometimes I think revisions are great because if we had Christopher Walken and a Green Gilly Han Solo,
No, I want to no, I want to see the version that came out in theaters in 1977. Is what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to see what they didn't film. I want to see what they did film originally.
oh, yeah, bro, just you just gotta find a VHS copy.
Yeah, I had a VHS.
Yeah. Hit the
Do you still have
thrift, my
yours?
friend. Yes, I have a VHS copy of Empire and Return of the Jedi. I don't have one of New Hope, but
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, when I come over in a few weeks, we'll watch it together or something. Maybe I'll
Oh
pop
yeah,
it
yeah.
in.
We'll watch Empire.
Yeah. Yeah. So when Lucas made all those changes, by the way, in between screenings, and he even screened another one for producers, some of them were like crying because they loved it so much. Like it was like the perfect movie. And this movie changes everything. And it really is because it's pretty much a perfect movie in terms of like an adventure. It's so simple, like just the story of a kid, living out in the boondocks or whatever, wants to aspire to something greater, be part of the world around him, and then he finds out it's a very much like a wish fulfillment movie where you're like the chosen one kind of thing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I said, the formula works great. You have the rags to riches hero. He's just
Mhm.
like the golden boy. You have the roguish best friend. You have the beautiful princess. You have the villain. Like,
Mhm.
I'm shocked that Disney passed on it to begin with because it's the exact trope of anything that they produce.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think it's something that cemented sci-fi into like a respectable and big budget genre, I think.
Yeah. And I think it works because it's so simple. Like it works because it's built on these foundational aspects of all the things that George Lucas, culled from, these adventure serials. And the adventure aspect of the movie is really exciting. Like the whole Death Star sequence where they're running around is probably my favorite sequence of the whole movie. Especially that moment where Luke and Leia they swing over the trench or whatever, running from stormtroopers. It feels like that could have been cut out like the Adventures of Robin Hood from like 1935.
Oh yeah, it's great.
I minus the incestuous kiss that she gives him for luck, but
Well, yeah, there's the kiss, and then also the doorway that they swing into is about 4.5 feet wide, and there's 9 stormtroopers shooting, and they can't hit one of them.
doesn't matter. It's the adventure. It's the excitement.
But we love the adventure.
We love the adventure. Watching it this time, I did feel like it did start a little bit slow, like and getting going as far as the plot, like the Luke sequences on Tatooine, talking to his aunt and uncle. But I don't think it's worse for having it. Like you do need those scenes to build up to, because I mean, as good as the second and the third acts are, you wouldn't have that without all the setup.
Yeah, and I think it's saved because the opening shot, I think, is exciting. That whole first sequence where, Leia's ship gets boarded and you get Vader early on, and you're like, oh, what's this hostage situation happening? Then when you get thrown into Cowtown for 35 minutes, it's like, well, we can deal with this. And yeah, it's a necessary evil, but
They're actually called banthas in Star Wars, Tanner. They're not cows, they're banthas.
okay.
But I do love the shot. I mean, the whole like twin sons shot is one of my favorites in all of like
Oh,
cinema.
stop. When I rewatched it, I literally
What?
I know everybody loves that, and I love that shot only because the score that builds right there is iconic and beautiful. But I
Yes.
literally was like, this shot wouldn't be in this movie if it wasn't to give this piece of music somewhere to go in this film. Because why
Mhm.
is Luke staring at the sun for several minutes?
Both of them.
Both of them. First of all, bad for your eyes. Secondly, bad for my eyes because I was bored.
But it is the heart of the movie. It's like it's the moment where, he's projecting outward, he wants something and we feel it.
Oh, sure. I mean, you understand the need for it, I guess, but I I literally was like, "Oh my god, how long is this shot?"
Whenever I think of this shot, I think of the Family Guy parody, A Blue Harvest, where Chris is Luke Skywalker, and they have the same moment. And instead of like making a joke, he just is like John Williams and the orchestra, everybody, and it cuts to the whole orchestra. John Williams.
Well, and you know what? I agree with Seth MacFarlane on that because yeah, when I was watching it yesterday, I was like, I feel like this is really just to showcase the score here.
It's a great score.
Well, you know what, Tim? I'm glad you love it. I'm glad it formed who you are as a human today.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you love who I am as a human today.
Well,
While we're talking about the score, that was one of the Oscars it won. John Williams probably won like a million, but that was one of them. It also won all the technical awards like film editing, costume design, art direction. The set design on this movie is really incredible.
the set design on it.
Yeah, like the Death Star and like Tatooine, the cantina. Like it really does feel like you're inhabiting this world.
Yeah, that was another topic that I was making notes on is that, a lot of times when you have like sci-fi or fantasy series or films, one of my biggest critiques of them is like, does this world feel lived in or like believable?
Mhm.
And there's so many things about like the Star Wars design that I think are iconic and that we associate specifically with Star Wars, but they're also so simple. And I think part of that was just like a budget constraint, but it really works for what they did because it feels authentic.
Yeah. And we probably shouldn't finish our spoiler review without talking about the cast. I mean, the cast is pretty much perfect. Um, I mean, Harrison Ford pretty much saves this movie with his presence. I feel like he's the MVP.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
I mean, he's kind of like the audience surrogate, the guy who's like, "What is this force mumbo jumbo? I don't believe in that. I just believe in money." So you kind of have to have that kind of character.
He's everybody's dad who went to the theaters with their kids to watch this, where he was like, "What is this?
What's a Star War?
I'll start this space magic movie. I'll show you a real war. Germany, 1941. That was the real war."
Let's watch the Dam Busters.
Uh,
I do feel like there are some moments where Mark Hamill is a little bit like wooden as like this like, whiny teen, but I'm not going to say he doesn't fit the part anyway.
No, and honestly, if anybody's going to go through like the damsel in distress, like, what are we going to do? Character, it's not Princess Leia. It's 100% A New Hope Luke.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Leia's already just like kicking ass and taking names, and she's just like, I don't give a fuck. You see my home planet? Blow it, bitch. And then,
Yeah, she definitely.
that was the other thing too. She was a little too, I think, willing to sacrifice Alderaan. I mean, she clearly didn't want it to happen, but she didn't try very hard. She was just like, oh, shoot. There it goes.
They said if she told them where they were, they wouldn't blow it up. They did it anyway.
I just hear crying afterwards.
Yeah, she doesn't really she doesn't really go back to like her dad's there, like or her adoptive father's there, Bail Organa. Like everyone she knows is murdered.
Yeah, I mean, I know she's got stuff going on like in the moment, but she doesn't really have a mourning period for it.
No, they don't really let her emote that way. But Carrie Fisher is great for what she's given. Like she's
phenomenal.
also like the heartbeat of this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like how you like that scene where Luke finds her in her holding cell, and the first thing she says isn't like, "Oh, thank you for saving me." It's like, "Oh, she's like, it's like a wisecrack, like you're a little short for a stormtrooper," And it's really refreshing to have like your damsel in distress, I guess, like stand-in is not really in distress. Like she could take care of herself. Like the first scene, she shoots a stormtrooper. Like and when she does get out of her cell, like she's part of the action. She's leading the charge. Like she actually leads them to the trash compactor thing. So yeah, really great. Having a character, or your one female character have like agency.
Yes, to not just be. I mean, they give her a little more of like the sex appeal trope later, but it's refreshing that they didn't start with that, especially in the 70s, because she really is, a feminist icon through and through.
Yes, I also have to give credit for James Earl Jones, just like a perfect villain performance, iconic voice. That's kind of all I have to say about that, but
yeah, no notes.
No, it's perfect. I can kind of tell that Alec Guinness sometimes does not care about what he's talking about, but he does a good enough job.
Yeah, if you give me like an actor who's there for the paycheck, it's Obi-Wan.
Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't know what a lightsaber is or the Force, but I'll say it.
I believe your father carried what? I don't remember what this said, but we'll go with that.
I'm probably lying. Half lying about a lot of this.
That's another thing that I have that I think is funny is that, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the last remaining Jedi in the galaxy, or so everyone's told.
So
he goes into hiding. Yeah, so he goes into hiding for decades, and then he's going to hide on Tatooine and just go by Ben Kenobi.
Wait, where is hiding? Sorry.
Was that a Sweet Life of Zack and Cody reference?
Yes, which we say all the time. Yeah. You said he was in hiding. Where is hiding? Incognito. Where is cognito? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I didn't have anything to respond to that because I
just interrupted you.
No, hiding is the second part of that because it starts with your father's.
I know, Tanner. I know, but you didn't say incognito first.
Well, don't set me up for failure with that then. Anyway, so it just bothers me that he goes through all this trouble, especially knowing what happened with the Jedi Order, and you're just going to go and be like, oh, I'm not Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm Ben Kenobi. So the first poor Iowa farm boy that you run across in the galaxy says, oh, a transmission for Obi-Wan Kenobi? I wonder if she means old Ben Kenobi out in the back 40. Well, probably because you didn't even bother to change your fucking name. You know what? How the galaxy didn't find Obi-Wan for decades and decades, I'll never know, because Farm Boy Luke and Princess Leia found him in 12 minutes because he didn't change his last name.
Maybe Kenobi is like their version of like Smith, It's just a super common name.
Well, I would hope so because that was not good.
I don't know if the Obi-Wan series addresses this, the one that came out a few years ago with Ewan McGregor. It does fill some good holes. I don't know about that one. I don't know if it explains that one away. But yes, he does not do a very good job at hiding. One more thing I wanted to say about the movie itself is the climactic dogfight space battle sequence is, you know, like perfection. Minus the fat guy being named Porkins. It is like one of
Ugh.
the best sequences in
You
film.
know, can I say something though about like the trench fight finale? I've never understood why when he fires that like final missile, because they're like, it's a 10 by 10 hole. You'll never get it in. That's what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's what she said. It's a wide hole.
but when it shows that shot, you know, the special effects is of those two red like balls, like the missiles, and
Mm-hmm.
they're going
Mm-hmm.
along the trench and then they just like turn and go down the hole. So he never actually like shoots directly into the hole to blow up the Death Star. He's shooting and then the balls like go down the hole. And I've never understood how that happens. I know it's just like a VFX thing from the 70s, but yeah, I that's always bothered me because it's like, well, he missed. They literally just like they went in on their own. Like it was a unless they're like tracking missiles, maybe that's it.
Then why would you need to
But
to
then why
fire
would
them
you
at a
yeah,
certain
why would you
time?
need to have somebody fly along that trench and you know, you only have one shot to make this. I don't know.
I'm sure there's like a in-universe answer for this, but it is not explained in the movie. You're
No,
right.
and maybe that's not how it's supposed to look. Like, maybe that's just how I'm perceiving it, but to me, it really looks like
Mhm.
that, you know, 'cause they, like, run along the edge and then they just, like, go down into the hole. He doesn't shoot, like,
No,
directly
you're
into
right.
there, and that's always
Yeah,
bothered
yeah,
me.
you're right. Okay, fine. It's a near perfect climax.
Yes.
Are you happy now, Tanner?
Yep, as long as I got to bitch about that part, I'm good. The rest of it, no notes.
I mean, it would be more sad when Biggs gets shot down if we had met him in the opening of the movie. You know, someone's got to die in that sequence, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
But I also like the ending a lot. I mean, like it kind of ends like with with the metal sequence. It ends like as if it could just be the last Star Wars movie. Like it doesn't have to continue after that. A very happy, glitzy ending. But I think it suits the movie itself. You know, like tonally.
Yeah. It goes back to, I think, like, you know, the fairy tale trope. Like that's a nice little ribbon. And from a
Mm-hmm.
marketing standpoint, like if the movie had bombed and they weren't going to do anything else with it, then you would be left hanging with an unfinished trilogy. So I think maybe
Yeah,
he knew that going
yeah.
into it.
They're not gonna end the movie with like oh, I don't know, like what's a movie that has like like a sequel tease that never happens. Oh, like remember at the end of the last Independence Day, they're like, we're taking the fight to them, we're going to their planet, and it's like, no, you're not. That movie bombed.
You're actually not. Or
You're
like
not
any of
doing that.
the what else did they finish? The Divergent series?
Yeah, well, that was their own fault for splitting it in two, the last one.
Yeah, they never finished it. So you
Nope,
literally
never
have the
finished it.
end scene where you're like, all right, we're gonna have this climactic battle, and they're like, oh, we're actually not. Sorry.
No. Yeah, so good foresight on, I mean, obviously they could have, in hindsight, they could have done a sequel tease, but it was smarter of them not to, from where
Yeah.
they were standing. Weird that Chewbacca doesn't get a medal. I mean, no, we're not the first person to say that.
Maybe they don't support nudity and he should have worn those cargo shorts.
Maybe there's a scene of like of Leia on that podium being like, Chewie, you put something on.
Yeah.
And then Chewie's like, and then she's like, I'm just gonna, no, you don't get one.
No shoes, no shirts, no medals.
Mm-mm. Okay, is there anything else you wanted to get into as far as the movie proper?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so Tanner, we are in 1977 right now. We've gone over the creation, the birth, and the of the movie. We've watched it, and now the movie's out. This movie actually doesn't get a whole lot of marketing from Fox because it wasn't expected to do very well. It came out on Memorial Day, but Memorial Day was not like a big, the summer blockbuster release date that it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaws came out 2 years earlier and kind of invented the summer blockbuster, but even then, it wasn't like a sure deal like for every summer.
Yeah.
And there were some people who were like, "Why are you even releasing it before school gets out? Like, what are you doing?" But George did something they didn't know. So, interesting to note, Fox actually had to package this movie with another movie just to get theaters to show it. They're like, "Oh, well, if you don't show this movie, you can't play Star Wars." Or no, if you don't show Star Wars, you can't play this movie. And that movie in question, did you know what this was beforehand?
No.
Yeah, neither have I. A little movie called The Other Side of Midnight. Apparently,
What?
yeah, apparently it was the big hot ticket summer movie from Fox that all the theaters wanted to get their hands on. And they're like, no, we don't want this Star Wars gibberish. Give us The Other Side of Midnight.
What is
Yeah,
the
go
other side
figure.
of midnight?
It was based on like a popular book at the time, so it had, a precedent, but is not known very well, not nearly as well as Star Wars.
No. And it's even, I mean, even looking it up, like not well reviewed, not a good fan
Mm-mm.
score.
No.
The synopsis literally sounds boring, and it's 2 hours and 45 minutes. Blech, bye.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately for that movie, it is now kind of forever known as the movie that got Star Wars in theaters, and that's it. So yeah, Star Wars was only released in 32 theaters on opening day, which is crazy.
That's insane.
That's nothing. Yeah, no one thought this would do good, but word of mouth and audience reaction, eventually they start adding more and more theaters. And then by August, like 3 months later, it's in 1,000 theaters, which even today, that's not a whole lot, but
No.
that's wide release. So yeah, like it was not expected to do well at all. And it was just like one of those things that just like hit the zeitgeist and grabbed hold, and people were obsessed with it.
That's interesting. Which, I mean, I can see why, because there really isn't anything like it before. So
No.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of something like nowadays that would be comparable to that, where people just went crazy for something they hadn't seen.
The only thing I can think of is like Avatar. And
Yeah, I was gonna say
insofar as it's
Avatar.
like a property that didn't exist, an original big blockbuster movie. But even Avatar had the James Cameron clout behind it.
Well, and let's not go that far, because as we know, my stance on Avatar, it did exist because it's literally Pocahontas with blue people. So
Well, if they actually make Avatar 4, I'm sure we'll be talking about those ones in a few years too. So we
oh
can get
yeah,
into
yeah,
that later.
I'll save my judgments for that, but
Stay tuned to 2029, folks, for our Avatar episodes. But there really wasn't really anything quite like, even since Star Wars, like this big, coming out of nowhere.
yeah.
So yeah, a huge profitable success. One of the most profitable movies of all time, despite the budget increases over production. George Lucas became instantly rich due to all of his deals with Fox, like um his marketing cut for all the for all the merchandise, all the toy line stuff. Just blew up. That wasn't really a thing back in the 70s, like
Which
merchandising for
and
movies.
did the toys come with the release of A New Hope, or was it not until Empire where they knew that this was like a for sure big franchise where they were really pumping out like merch?
I'm not entirely positive. I'm sure once it was a hit, I'm sure they definitely got on that. But either way, he made all that money from it.
Yeah.
And yeah. In fact, he became so rich that his other directing buddy, Francis Ford Coppola, had to ask him for help just to help finish financing Apocalypse Now, which came
Huh.
out 2 years later. But like you think about it, like Coppola has 2 Best Picture winners in the Godfather movies before Star Wars, and then goes to George Lucas for help. This
Yeah, we're
random
like, "Oh,
guy.
sorry, Mr. Coppola, we can't finance this."
Well, he did do that, but yes, he could have said no. Like it's a weird power switch in Hollywood.
The studio wouldn't automatically give Francis Ford Coppola backing after successes, like, of The
Mhm.
Godfather, because usually you get one if you get lightning in a bottle with one of them, until you make enough flops, you get backing for basically anything you wanna do.
Mhm. Um, it was so unexpected how big this movie was going to be that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg actually had a bet. Actually, they actually ended up trading 2.5% of the profits on their other movies. So, because Lucas thought that Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which came out the same year, was going to be a bigger movie, and Spielberg having seen the early kind of Star Wars, thought Star Wars would be a bigger hit. So they traded 2.5% of each other's profits on those movies before they were both released, and that ended up being really good for Spielberg because Close Encounters made, not adjusted for inflation, $400 million less than Star Wars.
That's insane.
Yeah. So he ended up being on the right side of history on that one in terms of that deal because he got a
Yeah.
lot of money. I think he still gets money from Star Wars because of that. The first one, anyway. In just 6 months, the movie took over Jaws as the highest grossing domestic movie. So only 2 years later, it made $221.3 million domestically in '77. Today, that's $1.2 billion. That's just domestic North America gross, which is insane. Like a movie to make $1.2 billion today domestically is unheard of.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. It was the highest grossing movie worldwide by 1978. I mean, this movie was playing for months and months and months all over the world. And then today, as of today, all the re-releases, it's made $775 million unadjusted for inflation. I don't even know what that would be adjusted because you have to adjust all these different, release years and money, inflation, whatnot. Still, crazy amount of money. It has actually the second most tickets sold in North America all time, with 178 million tickets sold. Can you guess what the other movie is above that?
I can't even think.
Pretend it's not in
of
front of you right now.
I'm just gonna say maybe 1939's Gone with the Wind,
Wow, Tanner, how'd you know?
which also
Yes,
honestly that's kind of shocking to me too because I know that Gone with the Wind was like a massive success when it was released, but I wouldn't think that it would be like a around the blockbuster. Like I didn't think that Gone with the Wind would be like that record holder.
yeah. I mean, people say today, like, oh, well, adjusted for inflation, Gone with the Wind is the most profitable movie of all time. Yes, but like also times were different back then. There weren't a lot of big movies like that back in the day. It was a big deal that movie got made. So yes, it is the most successful, but also different climates. So yeah, that made 202 million tickets wise for Gone with the Wind, but still. That is a lot of people seeing this movie.
Yeah.
And again, the reason for it, people just loved it. Like people, they loved the adventure. They loved the effects, the characters. I mean, it wasn't like universally loved. I mean, of course, over time, everything gets better. But I mean, like audiences ate this up. I did want to include a couple little, I found this interesting. Is that some critics did call it racist because of the fact that the cast is all white, save for the one person that you don't actually see on screen.
Well, yeah, and then to cut that person, you're like, oh, oops.
Yeah, so not very diverse, but it's not like Star Wars that was like, it's not like that was exclusive to Star Wars. Even 30 years later, like
Because then you do what? You throw in your tokenism in Empire with Billy D. Williams,
yeah, you're
which is fine because he's
obligatory.
great in that role.
He is great.
But
Yeah,
even like you said, 30 years later, you go to the prequels and who you have Samuel L. Jackson, and he's the only principal like
yeah. So it
actor of
didn't get up
color.
much better until like the sequel trilogy, but
I don't know, George Lucas, what are we doing?
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I guess Han could have been black after all. That's is what they were saying, but not that they didn't like Harrison Ford. But so there was some dissension. But again, this movie was pretty much loved for everything else. It was nominated for 10 Oscars, including Best Picture. It won basically all the technical awards, so editing, score, obviously score, special effects, sound. It didn't get any of the creative ones, I guess, because you can't award a genre picture all the creative stuff, blah blah blah. No director, no screenplay, no acting, but it got nominated.
Well, yeah, and the Academy even then was still probably just like a space movie, please. Ugh. The 70s would literally like what were your two kinds what were your big genres in the 70s? You had the emergence of like disaster movies that kind of became big after like the Poseidon Adventure,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like heist movies were huge, and then like Bond movies, and like
Yeah,
those
pretty
were
much.
really like that's what you were watching basically.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty unprecedented for a movie like this in pretty much all regards in terms of its reception. But of course, George Lucas can't leave Sleeping Dogs lie. He's said that movie's never actually complete. You just finish it later, and eventually you just
Oh
release it and then you go.
no.
Yeah, so he was of the opinion that he wanted to go back and do the special edition in the 90s, 20 years later edition for all the original movies. Gave them all the full titles of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, in preparation for the prequels, which whatever. But I prefer just to leave a movie where it was made, like in terms of
Yeah.
filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind like the rebrand for episodes, 1 through 3 and 4 through 6. Like
Mhm.
that's fine to change the title from Star Wars to like Star Wars A New Hope. But yeah, to try to bring in like your technology from 98, 99 and add it to it, just it makes it feel a little, and it just seems kind of cheap to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's easy to like, I mean, you can watch a movie from the 70s and watch it through the lens of this was made in the 70s. But as soon as you start adding elements that are clearly not from that time period, it creates a really like a dissonance, you know?
Yeah, and like I said, like in earlier in the rewatch, it was kind of jarring for me because it kind of throws you out of your element when you're watching it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this is what's making this world not seem authentic or lived in, is like this weird singing frog lady.
Oh, I didn't have the Frog Lady on mine. You had the Frog Lady on yours?
Uh, no, I think she might be in,
Oh, is she in Jabba's palace?
yeah, that's what it is. She's in Return of
Okay.
the Jedi. I have to fast forward that.
I am not looking forward to that either. I don't know. I've always hated the Frog Lady since I was a kid. But yeah, like that
Yeah,
sort of thing, it's just weird, man. Like, and I get it.
little
Lucas owns this. He can do whatever he wants. But it's also weird that he locked away the original version for so many years. And he's like, nope, you no longer have the original. You only get to have the new ones.
yeah, I don't know what the purpose was with that.
Like even Disney didn't get rights when they bought Star Wars or Lucasfilm in 2012. They didn't even get rights to the original versions. Yeah. Although I don't know if you've heard this, but they did announce for the 50th anniversary that they will be putting the original movie back in theaters, like the original version.
Oh, I'll go.
I will definitely go. I cannot
I'm there.
wait.
You can add it to the $178 million worth of tickets that are sold. I'll throw my 16 bucks in the ring.
There you go. Get Tanner's hard-earned money. Yes. Good. Yeah, so it's nice that George has kind of come off his perch a little bit in that regard. I really hope he sticks to it in a year's time because I really want to see that in theaters, having never seen the original cut. One other thing they added in special editions, have you heard of the whole like Han shot first, Greedo shot first debacle?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, one of the biggest debates in nerd fandom is who, during Han and Greedo's confrontation in the Cantina bar, which one of them shoots first. In the original cut, I believe it's Han who shoots first and kills Greedo. And people are like, "Well, but he's the hero. Why would he do that?" And then Lucas is like, "All right, well, we'll make Greedo shoot first now, and it's a defensive shot." Where do you come on this on the fence of Han Greedo shooting first? Like, do you think Han should have shot for it? Yeah. Like, who would you have if you could choose?
Let me tell you where I come, Tim.
uh, future sponsors disregard that comment.
Where I stand on the issue is that I am a firm believer that Greedo shot first.
You are, and that Han is a defensive shot.
I just think that makes more sense. I'm not the person that's like, oh, but he's the hero. Like he wouldn't shoot first because he's a criminal. He's a smuggler. Like Han, he's always a character that's out for number one and out for himself. So I don't think it's like a moral dilemma for him to shoot him. And I mean, Greedo's another tie to like Jabba finding Han, and like, so I don't think that it would be out of the question for him to shoot him. But I think it makes more sense in film for Greedo to shoot first. So I'm gonna
For Greedo to shoot first.
die on that hill.
They also added, I agree with you, by the way. I agree. But they also added, because they couldn't make it look realistic or whatever for how they originally shot it, in the special edition, they cut it so that Han, like, tilts his head slightly to the left or whatever to
Yeah.
avoid Greedo's shot. So it looks like he's doing something to avoid it. It looks pretty weird if you, like, slow it down and watch it. But yeah, so originally Han shot first, now it's Greedo shot first, and nerds shut up. That's pretty much the end of it.
Yep. Definitive decision made. Greedo shot first. We're done.
So yeah, a lot of post-release work done, but this movie has a huge legacy. Obviously, it begets two more in the original trilogy, plus a prequel trilogy, plus a sequel trilogy, and spin-offs and merch and a whole Disneyland resort area that apparently sucks. Like, Star Wars completely changes the face of pop culture. And it changes pretty much everything that comes after. Like, we have Star Wars to thank. We have Star Trek to thank for Star Wars probably a little bit, but we have Star Wars is thank for Star Trek coming back, and then everything else after it in terms of like sci-fi, like is because of Star Wars.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's so much like toy merchandising that's done because of Star Wars. I think there's so many
Mhm.
more sci-fi films made because of Star Wars. I think people recognize John Williams' work more because of Star Wars. Like it's just I think almost every aspect of it was a revolutionary
Mhm.
change in the landscape of cinema.
Yeah, it's a really watershed moment in pop culture. Have you seen? Speaking of sci-fi movies that followed, have you seen Moonraker, James Bond?
No, but I just actually started rewatching all of the Bond movies at work with some coworkers. So
Oh, good.
we just watched Doctor No 2 days ago. So Moonraker, I will
Oh,
be coming across soon.
okay. So you have like probably like 10 more to go until you get there. But
Oh yeah, well, there's a lot of them.
but Moonraker is known for being like the, oh wow, Star Wars is great. We got to make our own Star Wars. So they put James Bond on the moon, and it just, I don't like it. I'm of the opinion that it's one of the worst ones, but it was definitely influenced by Star Wars.
Well, and then we got the setting for Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me on the Moon. So
There
that's
you
a win
go.
for
It all
everyone.
comes full circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
It all comes back to Mike Myers. Okay, well that's our main part of the show. We have rebirthed, regurgitated, and reburied Star Wars, the original New Hope. We'll be doing episodes in the Star Wars franchise each week like this. And so tune in next week for The Empire Strikes Back. But before we go, Tanner, is there anything that you have seen lately? The off topic, non-Star Wars or anything related that you want to mention and talk about?
Ooh, just plug in our most recent pop culture finds.
Yeah, like what are you enjoying right now? Or what have you enjoyed recently?
Let's see. I watched Send Help with
Oh,
Rachel
yeah.
McAdams last
Mhm.
week. That was great. I loved another Sam Raimi win for me.
Mm.
And I think that's kind of it recently.
I liked it too. I liked the campy. We talked about this a little bit already, but I liked the campy aspect of it. It was a really fun movie going watch.
Yeah, I like that I didn't really know what to expect out of it. I feel like the tone of it
Mhm.
was kind of, part of it felt like a comedy, part of it felt like a thriller, part of it felt like a survival movie, and you got a little bit of all that in there.
Mhm. Yeah.
And Rachel McAdams, ever since the hot chick, she's been a win for me. So,
Ever since the hot chick, right? The hot
oh,
chick's Rachel McAdams.
and I know that that's probably not what she's ever going to go down as being remembered for. She'll always be, The Notebook or Mean Girls. But I also really appreciate that Rachel McAdams will revisit those early roles, and she talks about them a lot in interviews. And when people bring them up, she doesn't, shy away from like, oh, I'm not going to talk about 2002's The Hot Chick. And I'm like, well, girl, I'll talk about 2002's The Hot Chick all day.
We'll do that. Well, if they make a hot chick too, we'll cover those movies too.
Yeah, you
On,
know
on this
what, Rachel
podcast.
McAdams, if this ever reaches your ears, I would love to have you on to talk about The Hot Chick, okay?
Do you bring back Rob Schneider?
I mean, Rob Schneider can come talk to us too. I have no problem
Oh,
with that.
no, I meant like if you do a hot chick too, do you bring back Rob Schneider?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, you'd have to.
Okay.
What is The Hot Chick without Rob Schneider? It's me,
Good.
Jessica. What? I can't take this slander.
Okay, well, to get into my pop culture shout out, I will just say I've just finished playing Marvel's Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation. So I'm all caught up on the Spider-Man saga now.
Oh,
And
how
I
was it?
thoroughly enjoyed all of them.
I heard that it's one of the best like open world games recently.
All of them. I mean, they all kind of run the same. The first one, the Miles Morales one, and then this, in name Spider-Man 2. I mean, I love them all. I mean, I've always loved Spider-Man. One of my favorite franchises, one of my favorite characters, and these games are pretty perfect in my opinion.
Yes, I
So yeah,
also
great.
I loved the first Spider-Man. I just finished Miles Morales actually about a week and
Oh
a half
yeah.
ago. I was
Okay.
late to the party on
You,
that. I don't have Spider-Man 2 because I'm behind and I do not have a PlayStation 5 yet. I will be getting one
oh,
soon.
I got one just so I can play these games because I was like feeling so FOMO'd out for a while. So I'm
Yeah,
glad I made that decision.
it was going to push me. I almost bought one just for the release of Hogwarts Legacy, and then they made that game backwards compatible on PS4, so I held
Uh,
off. But there's too much stuff coming out next week where I'm going to need one because there's about 5 or 6 new releases I'm going to want. So I'll have to bite the bullet.
new games?
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 6,
Oh right.
Hogwarts Legacy 2 whenever that comes out.
They're
There was
making
a
that?
couple more that
Okay.
yeah, there's going to be another Uncharted. with Sam and Cassie Drake.
Those I have not played, but now that I have a PlayStation, I guess
Uncharted?
I can. Yeah, well, I never had a PlayStation until like last
Oh,
year.
you got it, dude. They're my favorite. Those Uncharted games and like the reboot Tomb Raider games, they're in the kind of the
Mhm.
same vein. I think a lot of the same developers worked on them, at least the early ones. They're phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And especially
Well,
Uncharted. One's a little rough. It's a little clunky in its dynamics, and but like
I'll add that
Uncharted
to
4, it's great.
I'll add that to my list of games to play. Um, okay, cool. Well, Tanner, thank you so much for this. Was a really fun learning experience, I think, for us, but also just a fun conversation.
Thanks, guys, for joining us on our inaugural episode. Hopefully, it wasn't too grating on your ears, and we look forward to growing with our listenership.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Tanner, is there anything that you wanted to plug? Anything you're working on?
No. Besides
Okay.
besides my own actual work, nope, I am good.
Okay. There's no way part of the show people plug stuff, so I'll just say I'll plug my novel because I have one of those. You can find my novel on Amazon. It's called Stage Fright by Timothy Glenn.
Well, I will also plug Tim's novel as someone who has read it. Go buy it. It's great.
One of the few. Thank you, Tanner.
I myself am not a novelist, so I don't have any books to plug, nor do I
Mhm.
have any creative endeavors. So you
Okay.
guys will find me here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tanner. I need every sucker I can get to read my book. Thank you. Anyway, you can find me if you guys want to get in contact. I'm on Letterboxd and Instagram, mostly Letterboxd. I'm really active on that. My handle for both is TGMacman, TGMacman. Tanner, is there anywhere you want to plug?
Oh, you can always find me on the gram on Tanwill10. That's really all I use. If you want to be a boomer and hit me up on Facebook, I'm there too.
Okay. And if you, listener, want us to ask us any questions going forward, we will be incorporating a question segment of the episodes. Obviously, we didn't have any this time because no one's heard us talking yet, but we're hoping that you want to ask some questions. So I think at the end of the episodes, we will be going into questions, just whatever you want to ask us about movies or anything, really. So we have an email address for that. It's to get in contact with us. It's questions@backtothefranchise.com. So please send us those questions, and we would love to hear what you want us to talk about.
Yeah. If you want a shout out, send us the cue.
Yes, get us the cues, and we'll give you the A's. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for listening. This has been a really blast. We cannot wait to keep going. And we will see you next week for The Empire Strikes Back. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.